Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our United in Diversity. We want to welcome those who are watching us online. Thank you so much for your patience. We apologize for the technical issues that we have been experiencing here at IS, but we are grateful that you have decided to stick around and learn a few things from India, from Zimbabwe, and from Georgia. This afternoon, I want to start our program with exploration of India. But before this, let me remind us that the views expressed on this program don't reflect IS. They are only opinions of our program participants. So if you have any question from what we discussed here today, please email us and we'll be sending you the information about our email address at the end of the program. So without further ado, I want us to meet our participant this afternoon, and we'd like to start with our first participant on my far right. Please tell us who you are. Maybe your marital status, your country of origin, I think is India, we know that already, but we want to know which part of India, because India is a huge country, which part of India you come from, east, south, north, or west, and what you are doing here, and how long you've been here at IS. Please.
I am Ranjit Kingston Gladstone. I am married to Carol since 2006. I am working on my dissertation as a requirement to complete my PhD in curriculum and instruction here. We are here since May 28, 2012. And I would call myself a third culture person because I spent my first 18 years in my birthplace, that is Tamil Nadu, the southernmost part of India. But I did spend my next 16 years in the central part of India. That's where Dr. Gaikwad comes from. We are here to equip ourselves to be prepared for the mission back in our country.
All right, welcome to our program, Sir Ranjit. Next to you, I believe, is somebody who lives with you. Can you introduce yourself to us, please?
I'm Carol Kingston. I come from the northeastern part of India, and we border Myanmar, China. So we are in the northeastern part of India. We call it the Seven Hills, and we call ourselves as the Seven Sisters. So that's where we come from.
Why not Seven Brothers?
That's how it's been called. So, or we say the Seven States, or the Seven Hills of the northeastern part of India.
Wonderful.
I'm here doing my PhD in educational administration, and I'm married to Mr. Ranjit Kingston. Well, both our cultures are different, but somehow we are compatible.
That is very important for our audience, because when we say somebody's from one specific country, we think that everyone belongs to the same culture. And having India this afternoon is very important for us, because somebody who comes from the north is completely different from somebody coming from the south and the west and the east. And as you're going to see this afternoon, we are blessed because we have two couples, but each one of them comes from different parts of India. So welcome, Carol. Next person, please.
I am Prema Gaikwad. I'm the wife of Dr. Samuel Gaikwad, and I'm a professor in the education department. Just like Ranjit, I come from the southern part of India, from the western southern part of India, southern part of India. If you're interested, this is something very, very important. My state is where the disciple of Jesus, Thomas, came, and he worked there, and my state became 100% Christian because of the work of that disciple. And even till now, though Hindus are coming in, it's a very highly Christian state, and 100% literate too. 100% literate. You can see the effect of Christianity on literacy rate also. I'm here at IS for 14 years Now it's exactly 14 years ago that I came along with my husband. And it has been such a wonderful journey in my life being at IS.
Thank you so much. I have never knew about something that she has just shared with us, that actually one of the disciples of Jesus went all the way down to India. That is something new I never actually heard before. And to say that Christianity is very strong in that part of India, that is quite impressive, because most of us believe that India is predominantly Buddhist or Hindu country, but to hear that there's one place that is predominantly Christian, that is quite impressive. Now we have our last participant here. I think this is the man who knows everything about India. Please tell us about yourself, sir.
Well, I am Samuel Gaikwad from central western part of India, the Maharashtra state. And that's where our Spicer Memorial College is located. Now it is a university. And I have been here, as you heard, for 14 years now at IS. I'm a professor in the education department. We enjoy our stay here. My state is completely different from where my wife comes. She comes from a state just like the Philippines. My state is different. We are very hot and very cold. That kind of state I come from. So that is what we are.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam. It's nice to have you on the program this afternoon. Since you come from all different kinds of cultures, my next question is, what makes your culture, specifically the part where you come from? And we're going to start with Dr. Sam. What makes your culture unique? Like very special? Somebody who goes to that part of India, they feel like, wow, this is unique about this country, or this culture specifically.
Well, if you ask any state, they would say their state is the best in India. But
how about yours? Is it also the best?
My state is the best. And it is, why? Because from there, the Pune, city of Pune, the kings from there ruled whole of India once upon a time. And so that is quite significant. And one of the features that I would say is unique about my place is we are very much oriented to drama.
Now this explains, we have been having a lot of drama in your classes. This explains where you got all this skill. Tell us a little bit more about that, please.
Yes, if you go, there are drama theaters in most places, even though there are cinema theaters also. But the drama theaters are very prominent because literacy rate is high enough, but literary work is very mature. And people write dramas all the time, and there are new ideas coming up through drama on the stage. And the dramas go on for 2.5 hours, 3 hours, one drama. And it is really wonderful.
We can definitely see the effects of that on you, Dr. Sam, because any student who has taken a class from Dr. Sam, they know how good he is in drama. Let's go to the southwestern side. So you come from central, western, and she comes from southwestern. What is specific to that region that is really unique to the southwest?
Well, my state called Kerala, that's very much like Philippines, and that's why I'm so comfortable here in the Philippines. The name of my state is given that way because it means land of coconuts. And coconut is really very, very abundant, and life centers around coconuts. The food, the cuisine is considered, the Kerala cuisine, the food is considered very, very elaborate. We ladies love to cook. So hospitality is a very important part of our culture. And actually food is the thing that brought Europeans to India, and they landed in my state also, Vasco da Gama. Okay, the European who came in search of spices. he came to my state.
Well, we know that word of spices. Everywhere in the world, when we say India, everybody knows the word
Yeah.
spices. So basically, the heart of the spices is in your state.
That's right. It's a
Okay.
tropical place where all this cardamom and cinnamon and all these
Wow.
kinds of pepper, all these things grow. And Europeans were attracted to that. 'Cause those days there were no fridges. And these spices kept their meat for longer time.
I'm assuming you must be a very cook, and I actually am not assuming. I have eaten at your house. I know how good you are with your with your cooking. Now this explains it. It's definitely part of you as you grow up. They really are into hospitality.
Yes.
Wonderful. Remind us again which part of India you come from, and then tell us what is particular in your place. Oh yes, you come from the north. Yes.
In the northeast, especially the place where I come from is Shillong. Shillong people are just like the Filipinos in their structures, the body structures.
Have you had some people talk to you in Tagalog when you're walking on the street?
That's really hard because whenever they see me, they speak in Tagalog, and I wonder, what is this? Because they see me like a Filipino.
All right.
Okay, so what is very unique in my state is the matriarchal system. Why is it? Because there was a history 150 years ago where the men were taken for war and almost all of them died except for one family that survived. And that lady had more than 7 children who are girls, and one of her sons, actually she had 2 sons, both the sons died during the war. So how to keep that family alive? The only thing is just take the mother's name. So it's something matriarchal, but of course now it has slowly changed, and there are changes, but that's one thing unique.
And that's a recent history.
Yes.
It's not like hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
No. There was a war, and that's how it happened. Why
Wow.
we take the mother's surname instead of the father's surname
Wow.
for that reason. It is not intentional, but it has happened in that way.
This is something that links to what we were talking about before, that outside of India, we have the tendency to believe that it's a male-dominant society all over India. But now we know there's one specific spot that is matriarchal. They follow the matriarchal system. So Ranjit, I'm going to ask you a question, just a variation of what we have asked here, because you come from the same region as Dr. Prema. I want you to tell us something that is unique about India in general. Anyone who's an Indian seems to have this thing. What is it?
Well, before I go into that, let me emphasize on the place where I come from. If you have known, our place is quite known for the language. We are proud of the language, Tamil. And we say, even before the stones and the sand were created, the language was created. And it's maybe just a symbolic way of saying it. However, if you see the history, the king, Raja Cholan is the name of the king, who conquered almost all of Southeast Asia, extended Myanmar, Vietnam, Laos, and Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore. And if you see today some of the architecture in all these countries, that all comes from my place. And whenever Dr. Raghu used to mention about Indian mango, I still believe that the mango had traveled all the way here. Well, that's a part of one of the things that we can talk about from my place. Generally about India, we are a people of giving more respect for others. We highly respect, especially the elders. Elders in our society, we respect them. Maybe different parts of our country, different state, we have different way of expressing that respect. However, the unique thing is that we respect our father, mother, and our teacher as our God. That's a very important thing that you need to know about India.
Just quickly about this issue of respect, because we see this coming up in several cultures, several interviews, programs that we have here at United in Diversity. how do you express respect to the elders in the parts of India where you come from?
Where we come from, especially where I come from, we are expected to bow down and touch the touch the feet of the elderly person whenever we meet with them. And usually we scoop hands and greet them. These are the way we show respect, especially in my place.
Do you bow down or do you actually kneel? Because I have some cultures, we have had interviews here, places where you actually kneel. Do you kneel or do you just bow down to touch the...
In my culture, we bow down and touch.
Okay.
No, we don't kneel exactly.
Okay, okay. That's got to be a serious exercise every day, especially if you come from a place where you have a lot of elderly people. You'll be bowing down several times because to be able to touch the feet, because I don't think they raise the feet for you to make it easier.
No, they don't
you
do
really
that.
have to go all the way down.
Yes, yes. However, you need to take note of this. Basically, this is practice among the Hindus.
Okay.
When it comes among Christians, we don't really do that because there is always a teaching of, you cannot worship your parents as God, bringing in the,
Okay.
that particular concept of worshiping
Okay.
other than God, you cannot worship. So we usually scoop our hand and we greet each other.
Now I'm going to go back to Dr. Sam because he's the pastor that we have on this group right now. Do you think it's really kind of worshiping human beings when we bow down in respect for the elders and touch their feet? Do you think it's really worship?
I don't think so. It is a respect that you show, and different cultures have different ways of showing respect. In fact, some people, they in my place specifically, they say Sashtanga Namaskar, which means I lay down flat on the ground to touch your feet. Wow. It is. And general greeting in India is, in our national language, it's Namaste. Nama Aste, which means I worship you. Oh. Where every time I meet you, I say Namaste, means I am adoring you. I worship you. That is the way it is said.
What started that? Because there's got to be a story behind that. It's not common in most languages to greet. Normally, many languages we have statements like, are you awake or have you eaten? The literal translation, that's what it is. But in your case, the literal translation is, I worship you.
Yeah.
What is behind this statement?
That is because every person is regarded, there is something called Atiti Deva Bhava, which means every individual whom we know or we do not know is a God sent.
Okay.
Is a God sent person.
Okay.
So it is very much biblical, when somebody you do not know and you treat them well and you give, extend hospitality as though you are, extending that to the angels whom we do not know. So that same concept is there where they say that you are, when you entertain somebody or when you greet somebody, as though that person is God sent to you.
Wow, wow.
So you respect that person to that extent.
Let's emphasize that India, I believe, is one of the most religious countries in the world. And Christian will say, no, I'm not talking about Christianity. I'm talking about religiosity. I don't think we have any country that has more gods than India. Meaning you can worship everywhere because they have gods everywhere. And so this can be linked to the greeting that they have. The next question goes to Dr. Prema. What values are highly upheld in your culture? What do you expect from people when they meet you, when they come to your house, when you are working? What are some of the values that are highly respected?
Of course, respect for each other is very important, especially of the elderly, as mentioned. But next to that is family values. Indians, are family-oriented people, though we are about 1.2 billion of us.
Only?
Only, yeah. You see families, close-knit, and we hardly find divorces in India. You can imagine how many families must be there in the 1.2 billion. It's because family, a single family really is supported by the extended family. So as soon as anyone detects any problem in the nuclear family, other members, parents and uncles and others come in and, okay, they kind of help out in the situation, because marriages are usually arranged marriages. Okay, and they all feel that they are part of this problem and they need to solve it. And this takes care of a lot of initial problems which eventually patch up, the families stay together. I'm not telling, all families are happy necessarily, but divorce itself is a rare thing. Now with modern trends, things tend to change, but this is really a core value for India, family values.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prema. When you look at cultures outside of India, and you tell young people that, well, in India there are arranged marriages, everybody goes, I don't want to hear that at all. But did you hear the beautiful message behind this arranged marriage, that actually two families coming together, and therefore they support the new couple? They make sure they will not bring dishonor and shame to the other two families, because the two families are united through this couple. And I can imagine that they are there really supporting them whenever there's a problem. They are there to really help them understand and resolve the problem, so that there won't be any problem between the two families, because marriage is not between a man and wife. It's between two families. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's go to next question. And Carol, you're going to tell us how people communicate in public in your culture.
All right, in my culture, especially in the Shillong, the state where I come from, in public, if you really want to talk to a person, you cannot just shout. You need to go to the person very close and say, okay, hello, how are you? How is everything with you? And you just don't even wave hand. You really want to see the person in public, you go. You go to the person and you greet the person, and anything that you want to say, you tell it.
So basically you cannot see somebody like 15 meters away and say, hey,
no.
John,
No.
Wait up, I'm coming.
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so I can imagine you being here at IAS, your first few months must have been a little traumatic for you, because we do that a lot. We do that a lot. I have done that with my students. I have my students who have done that with me. I have called my colleagues, and my colleagues, maybe they have called me also. It's something that we do, and it's acceptable with us. But in India, no.
State. Not
Okay.
everywhere
Specific
is,
state.
yes.
Do we have one state here where you can actually do that?
My state is just opposite. We love to talk from afar. Okay, the louder the voice, the better.
Wow.
Okay, so that's how we
Okay.
enjoy the communication.
That
Even
is-
in the bus, you can see one end of the bus to the other end, people are talking over each other. Okay, and that's
That
fun.
is interesting, very interesting. Sir Ranjit, can you add some other value that you have in a public communication?
When we usually talk among the same age group, that's okay to start straight away with whatever you're going to talk about. But if you're going to talk to an elder, you need to really greet the person in a right way, and then
What is the right way to greet the person? The elder? Is that or touching
no,
the feet?
you don't.
in
as I
your,
said, yeah.
in your place, in your state, they
Yes,
don't.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
So we really scoop hand and greet the person. Then you will tell the purpose of why you are talking to them. Then you get into the details of it. So yeah, please do whatever necessary. No, you can't do that. So that's one of the things right from my place.
Well, this is something that is for us, again, especially for those who come from Western countries. This is very important. In many countries, many cultures from the East, you don't just come and tell her what you have to tell. You have to have some small talk, as we call it, greeting, and then asking what is going on around in the family and the projects and the school before you can go to the heart of the discussion. And so it looks like it's happening also in India. Interesting. Dr. Sam, do you want to add another value that comes from the central western part of India?
Yeah, you know, communication as we talk, like for example, if you made a mistake, you don't simply say sorry. Doesn't have much meaning. Actually, when you are moving around and if you touch a person and it was inadvertent and then you say sorry, that is not.
That won't count.
That won't count.
Oh.
You have to actually touch the person and take your hand to your heart.
Okay.
That is what I am sorry. That means I beg your pardon.
Oh.
My heart
Testing.
goes out to you, and
It's a witness.
I am really sorry. My heart,
Wow.
my heart tells it to you that I am
This
really
comes
sorry.
from my heart.
This comes from my heart, and then I have to touch you. So it is not simply sorry. It is, and always you don't touch here and say I'm sorry,
Oh.
or I am like that. No, it's always the lower part, because as though I'm touching your feet.
Okay.
You don't really touch the feet of the person, but you touch anywhere at the side and say, I'm sorry.
Now, Dr. Prema, enlighten us on this one. Let's go to the young people. Can young people actually do this so that they will have a chance to touch young ladies?
It's a very good way to develop their heart. You know,
Because, if like in an Adventist institution like this, we don't want people to be touching each other. Do you think young people may say, okay, I'll just make an accident so that I can say sorry and touch the person?
well, it's really not that way that this custom goes. Usually, like, no wonder my husband kind of, kicks me very often, maybe. And so he can touch and then put his hand in the heart. Okay, and that, really show that he loves, he cares. Okay? I mean, but that's just, usually it's an accidental thing. Okay? And it's a very nice gesture. And I don't know if it's practiced everywhere, but in his state, it is practiced very much. And they really, if you kick, okay, accidentally, you really touch that part and then.
The part that
Yeah.
is
Yes.
the part you will touch.
Right. So that is, even he does, he does it to me also. In case if he accidentally hit me, he'll immediately touch and put his hand in his heart
Wow.
over here.
Okay, I'm going to go to the younger couple. I know that in some parts of India, I don't know which part, that really touching as a means of communication between two people of different gender is kind of prohibited. How do people who are in love communicate that without having to shake their hands or getting close in contact with each other? How do you communicate? How did you communicate to Carol that you loved her without drawing too much attention, without breaking the rules of the culture?
Well, to start with, in my place, let me give an idea. The public transportation, we have seats assigned only for the women and the seats assigned for men. So if you're traveling in the bus, you cannot sit in the seat which is assigned for women. And even if you see it is empty, you keep standing. Okay, now I gave this example for you to understand the extreme way of having the differences among genders. There are also issues sometimes where the bus has to stop because a man has touched a woman by mistake. So that's an extent it goes to. Now getting into my personal way of handling the situation, as I told you before that I moved to central part of India after my 18 years in an international setup where we got to adapt into different, the values and the customs over there. However, to maintain in terms of me approaching her, that is verbal communication, right? We approach and say, and the answer was an email.
So you communicate verbally, but the answer is sent electronically.
Yes, electronic.
India has joined the 21st century.
Well, to be more precise, it wasn't right away. So it took a lot of time, and it went on for many years. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. We need to have another show specifically on courtship in India. But first, let's go to the next question. What social practices are prohibited in communication in your culture? Like when you say this, when you do this in your communication, everybody is just like, wow, we cannot believe you have just done that. Some of them may be things that we are doing here at IS. Or you have seen other people doing that in other countries. What is prohibited?
Okay, especially the place where I come from, you cannot just extend your hand to a lady.
We have some cultures where the lady will not greet you unless the man was the first one to extend.
Yes, I mean.
But in your culture, the lady has to be the first one
No,
to
no,
extend.
no, no. We don't even touch.
Oh, okay, okay.
As a pastor of the church, when the church service is over, the church pastor will stand at the door and will be scooping the hand and will greet each member. And in response, the church members also will be greeting in the same way. So you cannot shake hands with each other. And
wow.
on top of it, by mistake also, you cannot hug the person. That is a big crime that you will be doing.
Wow. That's, okay, something else. Another.
Maybe just an opposite in a place.
Okay, another thing. Just one. Prohibited.
All right. One of the practice, especially when it comes to communication in public from my state is, if you're talking to an elderly person, you have to be very careful with your hands. If the elderly person stretches out his hand to greet you, that's the time you stretch out your hand.
Okay.
So you will not stretch your hand first, especially youngsters cannot do that immediately.
Oh, wow.
If it's an elderly person stretching out his hand first, then he or she can shake hands with him.
Wow.
So we just wait and we just keep our hands back till we get that hand from the other person, especially an elderly person.
Wow.
With friends, it's okay. But someone older to you, no, you cannot do that.
Wow, thank you so much. Another one that's prohibited.
In the presence of elders, as they are discussing, younger ones do not talk. They just listen. Okay, I remember many times when, my parents and their friends were talking, if we had something to say and we blurted out, oh, no, you keep quiet. Okay, we just listen. We have no voice in the conversation that older people have. Sometimes we are even told to move away, not to even listen to that. Okay, so we missed out a lot of mature conversations that way when we were growing up.
Wow. Interesting. Dr. Stam, something you have seen here at IS that people do in the public in communication that's like, this, if you are in India, you'll get in trouble.
Well, in a way, I would say that if you want to give something to somebody, you don't throw the thing at the person.
Oh.
They will not accept it, even if it is a very valuable thing.
Wow.
You have to give it to them with both the hands, kind of, like this.
Oh.
So, you give it both hands, but if you cannot give it both hands, at least your one hand should be touching the other. So it means you are giving it with both hands.
With both hands.
So that is very essential. If you throw even if from here to there, that person is not going to like it. It's an insult. The person will not.
This is interesting because the Congolese culture, some of the parts of the Congo, they have the same culture. And that is Central Africa.
Okay.
It is interesting that India shares that same thing. Let me ask you this. Can you give something with the left hand?
No.
Exactly the same thing in that culture. You cannot. That's just a no-no. And why is that?
I'm not sure why, but even, when you are eating food,
Yeah.
you eat food with your right hand.
And what if you are left-handed?
Left-handed, it is a different issue, I suppose. But if you are a right-handed person, you have to eat with your right hand, and your left hand should not even touch any food anywhere.
Wow.
Your left hand is completely useless
Wow.
when you are eating food. Everything has to be done with your right hand.
Wow. It's really, really complex. I want each one of you to share an incident you have had here at IS or in the Philippines while you were traveling around the Philippines that was related to cultural differences. And how did you deal with that? Something that was different from your own culture. Yes,
Well,
Dr.
something that is very important in India is wearing of ornaments. Okay, in the Hindu culture, ornaments are very, very important. I don't know if Christianity and Adventism has adopted some of it, but we do have marriage symbols. Okay, and sometimes multiple ornaments are worn. Of course, ring is a common thing, but ladies have to wear a chain. So actually, I have my marriage symbol here.
Wow.
This is a chain that
Oh,
my husband gave
wow.
during my wedding.
That's
That
beautiful.
was already prayed for and sanctified.
Wow,
And when I
wow.
first came to IS, I wore it.
Uh-oh.
I have to wear that if I were in India all the time.
Mhm.
It has the black beads.
Uh-huh.
That shows that I am married. Only married ladies
Okay.
wear golden chain with black beads.
Oh.
So I was teaching my classes wearing that, not knowing this is something weird. And then I heard afterwards students telling, oh, we have a teacher who is not an Adventist. Okay, and so when I overheard that, from that day I kept it away.
Oh, wow.
All right, I didn't want anyone to misunderstand me, and that was a cultural shock I got when I first came to IS. And I get a cultural shock when I go back because sometimes I forget to take it. And my mother, when she sees me, she takes
What's wrong
out.
with you?
It's if I don't wear, I'm a widow. That's what it means, okay? And she takes out her own chain and puts it before she talks to me. Okay, so wearing that is very, very important. If, as a married person, if others know you're married and you're not wearing, it's like a rebellious action.
Go ahead.
To add, so I make sure that as soon as she leaves the IS gate, I look at her neck whether this is on or not. Because this has to be there when she has to go to India. If not, they will think that she is available.
Oh, they will think that you already dead.
I am already dead. I am not existent. So I want to make sure, and they should not misunderstand that she is walking with some new boyfriend here now.
One good lesson that we can learn from the story of Dr. Prema, and this is for all of us and those who are watching us online. When we go to another country, we need to learn to adapt and actually make adjustments to make people around us comfortable with us. We cannot say, well, this is what I believe and I will impose it on you whether you like it or not. In the case of Dr. Prema, she had to remove something so meaningful to her just so that she will fit in the culture. We need to be flexible like that if we want to continue living as united in diversity. We want to have another story, one more, and then we'll go to our last question because our time is
All
running.
right. She was mentioning about the Mangal Sutra. We call it as a Mangal Sutra. Mangal Sutra.
Manga Sutra.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, in my culture, when you become an Adventist, the pastors will not even allow you the wedding ring in the church. So they really follow, they say once you are an Adventist, no ornaments, no jewelry. They take the context from the New Testament. So when I got married, my mom prepared a wedding ring for him, and he prepared for me one. So I told the pastor, I think I have a wedding ring. Can we do it now? He said, not allowed. He told me, not allowed. You can have that most probably during the reception. So we had our wedding ring, exchange of wedding ring during the reception. But when I came here at IS, and when I saw the people, I said, wow, I'm part of them now. Because I don't need a chain, I don't need a wedding ring, but of course I have to wear now. But I was so comfortable. But the only thing that was different was when I went outside to the malls and shopping centers, I saw couples holding hands. Usually in my state, they don't really hold hands. They just walk together. Even if they're married, they just walk together very close because we know that they're married. But like holding hands and putting hands around was not common for us. So when I came here, I saw that. So I was telling him, wow, it's something very different. Or maybe they have been westernized, you know, since the Spaniards were here and the other, countries were here ruling them. So maybe because of that. So that struck me a little bit. But then after 2 or 3 weeks, I got adjusted. I said, okay, it's part of their culture. Let me not judge on that part because even though it's different from mine, but I still can adjust with it. Yes.
And now you don't even notice it anymore.
No, I feel comfortable, whatever it is.
Very good, very good. We go to our last question. What lesson do you have for someone who wishes to visit your country, specifically where you come from in India? What are the basics, in about 20 seconds, 30 seconds maximum, what should they watch out for to avoid getting in trouble or to connect very easily with the people of your place?
Keep your hands and words controlled. And dress modestly. And respect the differences. That's all I have.
That's deep. Thank you so much. Very straight points there. Next person.
Yes, as he said, it mentioned that when you visit India, be very careful how you make comments. You know, because we have different cultures, different languages, different practices. They may not be the same. But just be careful before you do anything. And the best way, if you greet people, just scoop your hands, just to be on the safe side.
Thank you so much.
And usually ladies dress up with legs covered. Your dress should be such that your legs are fully covered. And somehow that is a culture. Ladies have to be careful about that. And of course, food. Practice eating some spicy food before going to India. Okay, because it's almost
Now that one I
impossible.
will struggle with a lot, big time, Dr.
You
Prema.
go anywhere and you tell, okay, just minimize spice and, don't even add. They will tell, we haven't added anything. But then when you eat,
You start crying.
yes, there's no way Indian food can be Indian without that spice. Okay, so you need to train your tongue a little bit before you go to India.
Yeah, right. I will have to eat at your place every day for like 2 weeks before I travel.
Well, I would say when you are in India, if you are a man, you don't try to talk to any girl, any lady, if you do not know them. You simply try to talk, you will get into problem. Touching is out of place. If you try to touch and say, hello, where is this place? You don't touch anybody. Even if you want to know direction where to go or anything, you from far away, if you want to ask, you ask men, not the ladies. Because once you try to get close to ladies, you are getting into trouble. The mob will come and attack you. Yeah. And another thing is, cows are very holy. Holy cows. You do not mess up with the cows there. If the cow is on the road, you let it be there. If it is sitting, you go around it. You don't kick it and try to get it out of the way. You kick, you will be kicked by 100 kicks by other people. Because cow is a holy cow. So life is very much valued. Not only cow, any life is considered a God-given gift. And therefore, they do not even kill. Some of the religion, like there is Jainism, they will walk with their mouth and nose covered, not because they are Muslims. They are Jains because they are afraid that while breathing, they may kill an insect or whatever. And some of them even, if they are walking, they will sweep the floor and then step.
Why? Because
you might step on an ant or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So that is very much practicing.
Oh, wow.
So life is valued very much. Any kind of life. Animal life, human life, very much valued.
Wow. That is impressive. Well, thank you so much for your contribution today. We have learned so much about India. And now our audience, if we try to travel to India, we are much better prepared. We want to thank you for being with us today, and we want to thank all of you who are watching us online. If you have questions, you have suggestions and comments, please email us at united@ias.org. ias.edu, united@ias.edu. Until the next program, we want to thank you and wish you to stay united in diversity. Thank you so much.